Now that we're all locked in, are you guys ready to celebrate some incredible people today? Today's assembly is about alumni and the amazing stories and achievements they've had since they were sitting in the bleachers just like you.
Obviously, we had to start from somewhere, and for IMSA, that place was a person with a bold vision and idea, Dr. Leon Lederman.
Now you may be asking, who is this person? Where have I heard of him before? Well, he saw the future in students like us. He believed that we could tackle the world's toughest challenges with the power of friendship, science, and of course math, even if that challenge was going against an evil Mega Knight.
It turns out he was definitely right. Dr. Lederman once said, "The young people who pass through IMSA will astonish you." And today we're here to remind you of that because our alumni are astonishing the world every single day.
And since 2006, the Board of Trustees made sure that we honor just a few of the many alumni who are changing the world, which is exactly why IMSA said, hey, let's not keep this greatness a secret. Let's honor these alumni with some official awards. And so the Alumni Awards were born.
And of course, we have to recognize those that helped make this happen. The Kathy Veal Endowment for Recognition of Alumni. It's the reason why we have shiny trophies, plane tickets to bring alumni home, and snacks. Not gonna lie, those might need an award too.
But right now, it's time to go back to the beginning, to the spark that lit this whole journey. Please join me in welcoming someone who leads with the same spirit of vision and possibility. Our IMSA principal, Dr. Angela Rowley.
Good morning, IMSA family, IMSA community. I was a little concerned when they said we're going to go back to the beginning. I wasn't quite in the beginning, but actually not far from it. So it was truly the privilege and honor to be in this role and to have the opportunity to help pay tribute to the life and legacy of a true visionary, who along with other visionaries of the time, whose impact is felt not only within these walls, but across the globe. Dr. Leon Lederman, or Uncle Leo, as some of us knew it back in the day, is a Nobel laureate from Fermilab, not just a brilliant physicist, but a dreamer and a doer, and a man whose passion for both science and education inspired generations. His commitment to science went far beyond that of the lab. He cared deeply about the future of science and mathematics education. This passion led him to the groundbreaking idea, the establishment of the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy. He is the reason that you and I are here today. He envisioned a place that would inspire and challenge students of exceptional talent, a place where curiosity would be ignited and scientific minds could flourish. Dr. Lederman believed deeply in you, our students. He believed that students with a passion for discovery not only could, but would change the world, advance the human condition. And he devoted his life to ensuring that you had opportunities to do just that. Perhaps the best way to understand Dr. Lederman's hopes and dreams is to hear it from him. As you watch this video clip of Dr. Lederman, I hope you're inspired to think about how you too should be part of this legacy, and how you can use your talents and passions to make the world a better place, just as Dr. Lederman and IMSA always believed that you would.
If we do what we know is right, we know what we feel is right, it's bound to happen that among our graduates there'll be numbered scientists, engineers, and those who go on to earn degrees in law and the humanities. There are likely to be those few who create new intellectual worlds, cure a human ailment, or in some other way significantly influence life on our planet. Our philosophy, because we don't know which of our students will do these things, our philosophy will be to treat our charges as if each one is capable of this extraordinary achievement. Only one such product will make the effort and expense of this school for its entire duration worthwhile.
This assembly is one of the ways that we both recognize and remember the work of Dr. Lederman. Another way is through our Lederman Scholar Award. This award recognizes faculty or staff from IMSA that publish research that embody the spirit of discovery and the innovation, for which this award and Dr. Lederman stood. I'd like to congratulate this year's Lederman Award winner, Dr. Luke Berryman, our Director of Experiential Learning, and invite him to the stage to share some highlights of his work. Congratulations.
Okay, good morning, IMSA. My book, Resisting Nazism, will be published by Bloomsbury next year. It's been described as personal, poignant, and powerful, as extraordinary, and as a blueprint for courage and dignity today. But the truth is that the book glows with failure. This isn't an exaggeration, and I'm not saying it out of false modesty. It's the truth, and it's actually kind of embarrassing. I only intend to share this truth publicly once here today with my IMSA family, partly because I believe it will do some good for you, the students, to hear it, and partly because it will enable me, your Director of Experiential Learning, to turn this talk into an advertisement for SIR. So, Resisting Nazism consists of 12 chapters. Each one tells a different story of resistance to Nazism between 1920 and the present. Each one also features interviews with experts and eyewitnesses. I interviewed some incredible people, including a US Congresswoman, a New York Times journalist, and a former white supremacist who's become a peace advocate. I set up these interviews in exactly the same way that an SIR student finds a mentor. I sent cold emails to prospective partners, waited, and hoped for a response. Now, I suspect that some students are wary about joining SIR because they're worried that they won't find a mentor. What happens if you get ignored? What happens if you get rejected? Maybe you've heard horror stories from fellow students emailing 4, 5, 6 prospective mentors and never getting anywhere. Better to be safe and just stay away from the program, right? I was rejected by 18 prospective interviewees. That's in addition to 11 literary agents who rejected my book before I found one who took it and managed to get it published. You don't need to have completed MI4 to know that 18 plus 11 is 29. 29 separate occasions that 29 separate individuals looked at my book and said no. Some just didn't reply. Some did reply but then ghosted me. But IMSA, it got far worse than being ignored and ghosted. I emailed one famous history professor and asked if I could interview him for my book. My book, please, will you speak to me for my book? Here's how he responded. Dear Luke Berryman, thanks for writing to me, and your podcasts sound very uplifting. Podcasts? Who said anything about podcasts? I have never, nor will I ever, host a podcast. I'm afraid that I didn't find much evidence of real resistance within Nazi Germany when I wrote my books, and so I don't really think I'd have a lot to say on this particular theme. Blah, blah, blah. Now, as you may not be completely fluent in the language spoken by professors, allow me to translate and explain why this email is so patronizing. Dear Luke Berryman, right, straight off the bat, the fact that he's used my first and second names is kind of weird. It's not Dear Luke, it's not Dear Dr. Berryman, Dear Luke Berryman. That's what AT&T would say. Dear Luke Berryman, you are one of our most valued customers. I couldn't be bothered to read your email properly, but the bits that I did read struck me as being so bad that I decided to take some time out of my day as a very busy professional historian to send you a patronizing response. Yours, with all the best, a very busy professional historian. But IMSA, it got far worse than being patronized. One person agreed to be interviewed, then exploded when I showed them the chapter in which I used our interview. Dear Luke, you have taken excerpts from a conversation with me and the result is lame and superficial. Examples I gave are turned into blanket conclusions and complex topics that need to be treated seriously, receive only a few sentences that are out of context, etc. Turn on bold, turn on underline. I therefore kindly ask you to confirm that you will not use this text in your book. I have a reputation, and I cannot afford to have people believe that this is my idea of an interview. My wounded ego. You'll notice as well, like all the best emails, that one was sent at 2:43 a.m. So, when adults speak to students about failure, I think we don't always do a good job. We tend to describe failure as if it were a hurdle, an obstacle that you can choose to avoid or to overcome if only you leap at it with enough enthusiasm. The older I get, the more I realize that there is no choice, especially if you're ambitious, especially if you're trying to achieve something. Failure will always find you. The only variable is how you choose to respond. You don't need to hate failure, and you don't need to fear it. Indeed, there's a certain beauty in failure. Forget the hurdles metaphor. We want everyone to see our successes, and we strain to keep our failures out of sight, but somehow, failure is the magical and mysterious stuff that holds our successes together. If success is matter, then failure is dark matter. So, here's my message to you as this year's Lederman Scholar. Embrace failure. Current sophomores and juniors particularly, don't let fear of failure stop you from inquiring about SIR in 26-27. And alumni, you inspire our students in ways that no one else can. If you would like to mentor an SIR project, and especially if your field is in the humanities or the social sciences, then please come and speak to me or my colleague, Dr. Sheila Willey. We'd love to connect with you. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to pre-order the failed book. And now it is my pleasure to turn over to the president of IMSA, Dr. Glazer.
Thank you, Dr. Berryman. I think your story captures the importance of persistence and that no journey is ever easy or handed to you. And if you follow a particular passion, you will prevail through that struggle. Congratulations on your recognition. It's my great pleasure to turn to one of the most meaningful traditions we have here at IMSA, the presentation of our Alumni Awards. The Board of Trustees created this program in 2006 to recognize alumni whose contributions extend far beyond our campus, to their fields of endeavor, to IMSA itself, and to the communities across Illinois, our nation, and the world. Each spring, the Alumni Awards Review Committee carefully reviews nominations and makes recommendations to the Board of Trustees, who formally approve the honorees in the fall. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge some of the very special guests with us today. We have our IMSA ambassadors, IMSA alumni, emeriti, former faculty and staff whose leadership have shaped this institution. Of course, families of our award winners who have supported and inspired them through their journeys. All of those individuals who I've just recognized, former colleagues, alumni, families, please stand to be recognized. Please know we're grateful for your presence here and for your role in the IMSA story. It is such a delight to see how our honorees have connections and to hear their stories of the people who have influenced them as well as those they have influenced. What makes today's celebration is truly powerful is not only the remarkable achievements of our honorees, but it's a reminder that all alumni are a part of this story. Many give back as career panelists, speakers, mentors, and role models. Their contributions enrich your experience as students and strengthen our community in lasting ways. Even coming up in the next few weeks and few months, you'll see presentations from alumni through our AI Bites seminars in the Center for Artificial Intelligence. There are countless mentors to IMSA clubs from every possible area of our community, as well as through our research. And personally, I can testify on an expedition for intercession last year. A group of students, Dr. Carlson and I, took a trip to New York City, and on that trip we certainly engaged in a lot of cultural aspects of the city, and something that was critically important was to visit alumni who were working in the city and had careers, who could talk about their journey from IMSA and what they were doing, whether it was related to finance, tech, healthcare. All of our alumni there were so gracious in connecting with our students, and our students found it deeply meaningful as part of their intercession experience to understand the pathway from IMSA, what they learned from IMSA, and how that guided them in the work that they do today. I am incredibly grateful that alumni are so welcoming to us wherever we go. So today, as we honor our 2025 Alumni Award recipients, we also celebrate the spirit of service, leadership, and innovation that connects every member of the IMSA family. And now, it is my privilege to introduce the Chamber Strings Orchestra, who will perform in honor of our Alumni Award recipients.
Thank you so much to the Chamber Strings for the wonderful tunes and setting the vibe right. But now I'm happy to kick off the highlight of the 2025 Alumni Awards. First up is the Titan Award. The Alumni Titan Award honors alumni who have provided outstanding service to IMSA, helping advance the institution's mission and work. The honorees are enthusiastic and energetic IMSA champions who dedicate significant time and talent to endeavors at IMSA. Our amazing winner of the 2025 Titan Award is Mr. Dion Steele. Dion is a proud charter alumna who has dedicated his career to advancing education, youth development, and community impact. He has served as a principal at Art in Motion Creative Arts School and Urban Prep Academies, and as a director of external partnerships at University of Chicago's charter schools, empowering students through culturally responsive leadership. Respected for his authenticity and commitment to equity, Dion has led transformative initiatives championing innovation, inclusion, and student success. His connection to IMSA remains strong, mentoring students, supporting cultural celebrations like the African American Read-In and MLK events, and serving on alumni and admissions panels. He truly embodies what it means to be an IMSA Titan, using leadership and vision to shape a better future. Dion received his BA in History and Academic Studies from the University of Urbana-Champaign and his MA from Divinity from the University of Chicago. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Dion Steele, class of 1989.
All right, good morning, and good morning. So I can be quite loquacious, so please bear with me. I know I got 5 minutes. Normally when I'm asked to speak, the words usually just seem to kind of flow out of my mind like water. But for whatever reason, this particular time it's been extremely difficult for me to find the words. Mainly because of that beautiful lady over there holding that camera always says before I go out into public, please don't start talking about Star Wars, please don't start talking about music, and please don't start talking about superheroes. So unfortunately, baby, I must talk about these 3 things. I'm talking about these 3 things because I wouldn't be standing here before you today without Star Wars, without music, and without superheroes. From a very young age, I began searching for a mothership when my older brother and cousins introduced me to Parliament and Funkadelic. And I met my first black superheroes in the form of Star Child, Sir Knowles, and Dr. Funkenstein. Some of y'all in here probably know what I'm talking about. I would get lost in the album cover art, and I would listen to George Clinton speak life through me and into me through the power of funk. As they talked about this interplanetary cosmic rhythms, I would feel myself getting lost in outer space. I would collect anything having to do with astronomy, aliens, lasers, and I would even create my own spaceships so that my action figures could travel to outer space. My uncle worked for NASA, and I'm proud to say that today, my daughter is a STEM educator at NASA down in Virginia. So at a very young age, I wanted to be an astronaut. This desire was cemented at 6 years old when I saw Star Wars and they began to travel to galaxies far, far away. If you step into my office right now, or look at my cell phone screen, or even the keys in my pocket, you're gonna see an image of Darth Vader. Because I see, hear, breathe, feel that I am Darth Vader in the flesh. My staff calls me Vader. Parents have been dropping off Star Wars and Vader trinkets to me for the last 10 years as I've helped their sons and their daughters reach their destiny. And don't give me all of that stuff about Darth Vader being a villain, because really what he was a fatherless child who lost his mother at an early age, and everything that he did was to preserve his wife, his family, and especially his son, all while defeating evil incarnate. So yeah, he did that, so you should never underestimate the power of the Force. The Force has been with me since childhood. It led me to philosophy and religion. It led me to my understanding of what my purpose is in this world. When I saw Yoda and Vader manipulate time and space and alter one another's souls and sense of being, I wanted that superpower. I wanted to be a superhero. I wanted to have lightning rays coming out of my fingers. I wanted to be hard as steel like Luke Cage. I wanted to be strong and as intelligent and highly skilled as Black Panther. I wanted to save the day, and I knew that that could happen here at IMSA. A math and science academy. Every superhero that I knew was a scientist. I was bound to find what I needed to gain those powers here at IMSA. So as I embarked upon my teenage years here, I truly believed that I would succeed in my mission. However, I began to have doubts because I saw brothers who looked like me falling off the roster. I grew concerned. And I'm very grateful for the leadership at the Math and Science Academy because they saw the same thing and they began to take immediate action. I remember Kathy Ville first introduced me to a brother by the name of Ogden Sproul. And this brother would take me and some of my friends out to the basketball court, try to show off. He had a leg brace on his leg. He was about 28 years old, and we thought that he was old and dusty. We didn't respect him that much, but he beat us nonetheless. He would brag about having the opportunity to roommate with James Worthy, one of the Lakers, and he also knew personally Michael Jordan from his experiences at University of North Carolina. My roommate Joe and I would give Ogden a hard time because we were hard-headed. We thought we had it all figured out. And now that we had students beneath us, because we were the first class, so at first we felt like babies, but after the new students came in, we thought we were running it. And so all of a sudden we met this gentleman sitting in this room by the name of Keith McIntosh, also now one of my fraternity brothers as I switched to his dorm. Joe and I thought we were running the wing. We thought we were elders. We were coasting our way toward graduation for 1989, and we began to cut up a little bit more and more. Keith was the only person that could reel us in. With Joe, it seemed a little bit easier because Joe just seemed to want something to eat, watch a couple basketball games, and play a little basketball and listen to Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince on his tape. Keith and him seemed to click real easy. Me, on the other hand, I was on a mission to make noise. I wanted to be heard, I wanted to be seen, and I wanted to be respected as a superhero that I thought I was. Keith would often tell me to calm down, or when my ADHD would kick in, he would say, sit down and stop taking them goofy pills. And that hit me in my chest. I was heading toward college, and if I wanted to shed this inner nerd, I haven't shed it, it's still bright and shining higher than ever, I needed to stop trying so hard. I needed to chill out and be cool, like Luke Cage, George Clinton, or James Earl Jones with that voice of Darth Vader. Keith also did something transformative that I'm forever grateful for. In order to calm me down and keep me focused, he gave me access to his 2 turntables and mixer. I was hooked. I became centered, purpose-driven, and focused. I was, every day, all of my chores and my tasks and my mind shift just shifted just so that I would have the opportunity to get into that room and follow my craft. I would bug him on the weekends to take me to the record store so that I could go and manipulate time and space and souls with music. Thank you all for your performance today, because that inspired me and lifted me as well. Being a DJ gives you that type of power. So fast forward. After graduating from the University of Chicago's Divinity School, I took my first full-time teaching job at Hales Francisca. I was responsible for getting groups of Black boys through high school and onward to college. I taught Hebrew scriptures, world religions, and also ancient African civilizations. Like Keith, were to me, or was to me, I became a mentor and a role model. I started a daily after-school program that would provide socio-economic support, socio-emotional support, civic responsibility, and an artistic outlet for all of my students. The days would go something like this: meeting of the minds on Mondays, take charge Tuesdays, Wheels of Steel Wednesday, theatrical Thursday, and freestyle Fridays. Years later, this programming that I did at Hales became the cornerstone of the advisory program at Urban Prep Academies, which was also the first public all-male high school in the city of Chicago. It was here as a founding staff member and ultimately the flagship school principal that my mission and purpose in life was locked. And that was to serve the youth who march onward and upward toward the light. I implemented my leadership principles there that have now been officially codified as the core values of my new school, Art in Motion Creative Arts School, that is founded by the rapper Common Sense, for those of you who may or may not know. And those core values are supportive of our teachers and our students, both socially and emotionally. Uplifting, in that we celebrate and affirm the identities of the students that we serve. Progressive, in that we innovate our practices, particularly the infusion of art into all classes, is what we do to be innovative. Engaging, that we are hip, we're culturally responsive, we're relevant and relative to the students that we serve. And the student experience overall is shaped by the assets that the students bring to the table from their unique experiences in life. And finally, we are rigorous in that we have high expectations for all of our students, and we challenge them and we push them toward greatness. So if you have not realized already, that acronym spells out super. So IMSA, you truly prepared me to be a superhero. And I thank you. And I thank you for today's honor. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Steele, and thank you for all you do for IMSA. Next, we have the Distinguished Leadership Awards. Fun fact, the selection committee had such a difficult job picking this year that we've got not one, but two awards that we have the honor to give. The first of these awards goes to the alumni who have made achievements or leadership contributions in the professional fields consistent with IMSA's mission. The first winner of the 2025 Distinguished Leadership Award is Captain Brent Spillner. Captain Spillner earned bachelor's and master's degrees in computer science at the University of Illinois on a Navy ROTC scholarship. Since then, he has served with distinction across the globe in the U.S. Navy submarine force. He has completed multiple deployments, commanded the submarines USS Springfield and USS Greenville, and most recently led the submarine tender USS Emory S. Land, supporting American and Allied naval operations throughout the Pacific. Along the way, he has championed innovation in engineering and strengthened international partnerships. Captain Spillner's career also includes studies at the University of Amsterdam and Oxford, as well as leadership roles within NATO. His many awards include the Legion of Merit and Meritorious Service Medal, though he is most proud of the recognition earned by his crews. Please join me in welcoming Captain Brent Spillner, class of 1995.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. It is truly an honor to be here today. It's certainly humbling. I believe the committee's task in selecting must have been difficult because I'm not sure I'm particularly deserving. I would tell you that every single alumnus that I know is distinguished and a leader, and I think I know that they all came to this academy as leaders. That's how they got here in the first place. But I'm quite happy to take a few minutes to talk to you about what IMSA has meant to me. Coming here was definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made, one of the most important influences in my entire life, principally because this is where I met my lovely wife, Angela, class of 1997, who has given us two beautiful daughters, the very best people in the entire world. So really, if I were to name an IMSA graduate who's done a lot of service to her country, she would rank above me on that list, just because I get to do the fun things. I take my crew and we go lock ourselves in a steel tube and go have adventures for 6 months, and she's the one dealing with about 14 or 15 military moves to this point and single parenting while I'm deployed. But really everyone that I met at IMSA had an important influence on me. I was very fortunate. I heard about IMSA before the doors even opened. One of my teachers at Briargate Elementary School in Cary was Mrs. Young, who had a daughter who was part of that charter class. And so Mrs. Young made sure that the parents and the faculty at Briargate knew about this opportunity that the state of Illinois was creating for students with an interest in math and science or in other kinds of academic achievement. And District 26, to their credit, did a fantastic job of identifying those of us who like to go a little bit beyond the textbooks and math and computers, and giving us some extra resources, some opportunities to take classes at the high school, et cetera, and really put me on the trajectory to make sure that I came to IMSA when the time was right. And everyone that I met here at IMSA, was important to me. It's hard to believe that it's been 30 years since I graduated, or 33 years, a little over 33 years since I first started. When I got here, I'd heard the stories, I'd done one of those overnight programs, so I had an idea of what to expect, but I was overwhelmed by everything. I remember at the end of the sophomore orientation weekend, the upperclassmen showed up, they put us all in a bus, and they bused us over to Fermilab for the convocation speech, which was given that year by Dr. John Peoples, the director of Fermilab. And he gave a lecture on quantum physics that went mostly over my 15-year-old head. But he talked about why he had chosen the path that he had chosen through life. He talked to us about the experiments at Fermilab, starting with one in the 1970s, led by none other than Dr. Leon Lederman, which discovered a particle called the bottom quark that went a long way to helping to unravel one of the deep mysteries in physics, something called the charge parity symmetry violation. And the bottom quark was a tremendous achievement for which Dr. Lederman received a Nobel Prize, which I'm sure went quite a long way to giving him the social capital to pursue his real life's ambition of setting up an academy like this and other educational opportunities for students, not just in our great state, but around the world. And Dr. Peoples talked about where you go after the bottom quark, because the bottom quark, while it seemed to solve some puzzles, it also introduced a few. In particular, it seemed to break down the symmetry that people thought what was then regarded as the standard model of physics contained. And it felt like, why is there this fifth quark? Why is there not a sixth? And so the Fermilab experiment kept looking for another quark at higher and higher energies. And they got to 20, 30, 40 times the energy at which they'd found the bottom quark, and there was still nothing there, which was the condition when he spoke to us in 1992. But he explained that he had to believe in an ordered universe, and he was going to spend, every single one of his days chasing that next particle, because he had to believe it was out there, because he thought it would lead to a more beautiful understanding of physics. And a couple of years later, while I was still at the academy, I read in the Chicago Tribune that he and his team had actually found that top quark, another remarkable achievement. And I remember thinking, that's too bad that he found it so soon, because he seemed determined to spend his life looking for it. And I thought, I wonder what he'll do now. Of course, I need not have worried. Dr. Peoples had plenty of ideas. He moved into astronomy after that. But I still remember that lecture that he gave us about finding something that troubles you. It doesn't have to be developing a new vaccine. It doesn't have to be finding a new subatomic particle, but finding some way that you can make your world better. Find something that stokes your intellectual curiosity. And even when people tell you that, hey, this is just the way things are, we've looked and we haven't found it, so you might be on the wrong path, you might be barking up the wrong tree. Continue following your instincts, continue to believe in, your sense of what would bring order to the universe, and keep working on that thing that stimulates your curiosity to the extent that the top quark stimulated that of Dr. Peoples. I can't possibly thank all the people who had an influence on me here at the Academy. I do want to take a moment, though. It's been great to walk around the halls today and see what has changed. Certainly physically, the building's a little different, in a lot of ways the same. I think I can still find my way around. The one thing that's exactly the same, though, are the students. I see the same bright-eyed students, inquisitive, wanting to talk about what they're interested in, and the things that drive them, and the things that they're researching and working on, and the things they hope to achieve in the future. And that has never changed about this Academy, and I'm confident that never will. It's also been energizing to meet the faculty and staff who get to work with these students every day and try to just open doors for them. That must also be tremendously energizing work. I came here as a young computer nerd, and this was a wonderful place to be. It will be hard for the students in the audience to believe this, but when I came to IMSA in 1992, it was the first time I'd ever directly used the internet. It had been around in some form for over 20 years, but the general public had never even heard of it. The World Wide Web existed for about a year at that point, but when I got here in August 1992, there were only 30 websites across the entire globe, and they were all at research labs or universities. It wasn't like how you imagine it today. I remember being in the Computer Resource Center, which I see no longer exists, the next year when the University of Illinois released a software product called Mosaic that was the first integrated graphical web browser. Two of the members of that team were Rob and Mike McCool, who were twin brothers who had graduated here from IMSA. And I remember one of my classmates, Ryan Pierce, got like the first 0.01 version of Mosaic running on a DEC alpha station that some of our other classmates had won in a national computer science contest that year. And so it had just arrived, and Ryan got it working, and he was excited to call everybody over and see how you could have pictures and text together, and you could even play audio clips. The alpha station didn't even have speakers. It had a phone handset that you had to pick up, and you could listen on a monotone speaker, and so we had to take turns listening to the audio. But I remember that discussion about what this would mean, that now you could have interactive libraries in a computer, something that no one had ever seen before, made possible in part by IMSA students. Most of you in this room, I see some of the people with a few gray hairs nodding, they remember Mosaic. Most of you haven't used Mosaic in decades, but I'll bet a lot of you have used Safari, which was started by another IMSA student, Dave Hyatt. And at the time I was at IMSA, the McCools and Dave Hyatt and a lot of others, those legendary charter class of 1990, class of 1991 students were still very involved because they got to keep their accounts on the student computer systems. And so they would still log in, and they were studying computer science in college, or they'd moved on to corporate jobs, and you could ask them questions and they would share their experience. And so I learned a lot as a budding computer scientist from them. I also learned a lot from the faculty. I remember Mike Sloan, who taught the introduction to computer science and the advanced placement computer science class using Pascal. And I also remember that those of us who were really into computer science realized that, okay, Pascal is kind of going away. That's not the future anymore. And I remember another math teacher, Ron Vavrenek, volunteering to teach a C++ course. And of course, Mr. Vavrenek didn't know C++ when he started it, but he was determined to learn, and so he was, teaching himself, trying to stay a few weeks ahead of the class, which I'm sure is difficult when you've got people asking questions, as IMSA students tend to do. But he was devoted to make that happen for us. So what I remember best about that class is that when we would ask him a question, a lot of times he'd say, "Well, I'm not sure. I've never seen that before. Let's see if we can figure it out. Let's see if we can make it do that." And we, as a class, would collaboratively discuss, and people would come up with all kinds of different ideas, and most of them didn't work. Most of them generated some kind of error, but we got to solve it as a team. And when I think back on my IMSA experience, I think those experiences of going off the script and just trying to figure things out and working as a team, those more closely to me resemble the kinds of problem solving that we're asked to do as adults than just about anything else in my educational experience up to that point. So I'm forever grateful to IMSA for that. Of course, the resident life staff were also a huge influence on us here at IMSA. And like Dion, I had the tremendous privilege to be in the wing of Keith McIntosh. And I remember Keith talking to us man to man about, he'd been one of the original resident counselors, still the best ever, I'm certain. I haven't found the statue on campus yet, but I know it's here. But he talked to us about, among other things, his experience in the Marine Corps and the teamwork and sense of responsibility that he developed there and the leadership opportunities. And it all checked with what I'd heard about military service from my father and my grandfathers. And it was kind of refreshing to know that, hey, the modern military at that time hadn't really changed since Vietnam or World War II. And, that was another important influence on my decision to go into the Navy after college. At the time, I thought I would just serve my country for 5 years, get some money for college, and then go become a software developer or something. But when I got into the Navy and into the submarine force, I discovered a lot of the same thing that I loved about IMSA, that I got to work with some of the best and brightest young people that our country produces, and other countries, with our partners around the globe. That experience on the MRAS land last year around the Pacific, one of the best parts of that was I had 36 Royal Australian Navy sailors who volunteered to come out and join my crew and integrate and work just like Americans, earn the same qualifications. And actually, when their 6-month term was up, instead of flying back to Australia and rejoining their friends and family, they actually asked to deploy with us, go to sea on a ship. And as much as sailors love going to sea, it's sometimes hard to get volunteers to do an extra deployment, but they wanted to come out with us. And that was one of the best things we could have done, because it turns out that Australia is a country with 26 million people in a very high-tech industry but not nearly the scale of the U.S. defense industry and not nearly the scale of the U.S. military. They've actually leaned pretty hard into things like additive manufacturing and unmanned systems. And so having those, I was at the time trying to work on developing our additive manufacturing capability on a U.S. submarine tender, and so having those Australians with their practical experience and their ability to reach back to people who'd solved these problems at facilities ashore in Australia were tremendously important to helping keeping the U.S., the British, the Australia, and other allied fleets in the perfect condition. And it reminded me a lot of the experience I'd had at IMSA of diverse people from a lot of backgrounds coming together to solve problems. So my advice to the students out there, I'm quite happy with the choices I've made. I was thinking about would I love to be an IMSA student again. I absolutely would. I think I would do everything exactly the same, but I'm very envious of all of you and the opportunities ahead of you. My advice to you is, find that thing that stimulates your intellectual curiosity like Dr. Peoples had and follow that. But also find a place where you feel like the teammates that you're working with are just as bright and creative and dedicated as those around you right here at IMSA. And my third thing is think about how much you're a beneficiary of all the educators who've contributed to give you the opportunity to get to this point. And what you're really going to find rewarding in life when you get to be my age are not the things about discovering the vaccine or captaining the submarine or finding the subatomic particle. It's all the other people that you got to influence. You realize, I've spent the last 26 years trying to give back in some way for the 17 years of formal education that people invested in me, and the reason that I'm still in the Navy after 26 years is I have the opportunity to do that every day. I get to, take young people who've got a tremendous amount of potential, and I get to help them find the ways to deploy that. So, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Captain Spillner. Our second Distinguished Leadership Award goes to another alumnus who has made achievements or leadership contributions in their professional fields consistent with IMSA's mission. This winner is Dr. Michael Ombrello. Dr. Ombrello is an internationally recognized physician-scientist whose career reflects IMSA's mission to advance the human condition through inquiry, innovation, and service. He serves as a principal investigator and head of the Translational Genetics and Genomics section at the National Institute of Arthritis and Musculoskeletal and Skin Disease at the NIH. His groundbreaking research has reshaped how we understand autoimmune and inflammatory diseases. A global pioneer in the genetics of Still's disease, Dr. Ombrello launched the first genomic study of the condition and leads that international in-charge consortium. His discoveries include identifying the first disease-causing PLCG2 mutations in humans, which led to the recognition of a new immune disorder called PLAD, profiled not only in top medical journals like the New England Journal of Medicine and Nature Genetics, but also in the New Yorker. Beyond his research, Dr. Ombrello is a mentor who is shaping the next generation of physician scientists. His leadership and dedication continue to impact patients, families, and communities all around the world. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Michael Ombrello, class of 1993.
Good morning. I'm just an average guy. It's such an incredible honor to be here today with you, and it feels really surreal to be back here at IMSA after 33 years. I'm Mike Ombrello. I'm a proud graduate of IMSA, class of 1993. And this building, much of it looks the same, but a lot is very different. But it reminds me that this is the place where I first learned to ask big questions, hard questions, pushing myself beyond what I ever thought that I could do. When I was at IMSA, we didn't have SIR, but I spent my EX exploration days, the equivalent of your I days, doing an externship at the Loyola University Stritch School of Medicine, where I learned how to do research and got my first taste of what biomedical research was. That opportunity opened my eyes to what scientific discovery could look like in the real world. And through that experience, I realized curiosity could be more than just a personality trait. It could actually be the basis of a career. So today I lead a biomedical research group at the National Institutes of Health, and I'm here today on furlough, so I have the opportunity to speak to you. We study and identify the causes and new treatments of inflammatory diseases. We do this by combining genetics and immunology and curiosity in a way that high school Mike Ombrello would have loved. Every day I'm reminded that the curiosity and persistence that was groomed and bred at IMSA is the basis of scientific discovery and is the basis of discovery in life. But let me level with you. I was not always the ideal IMSA student. I made mistakes. I even got suspended more than once. Though not my proudest moments, those experiences provided some of the most important lessons in my entire life. Because when you face consequences, you learn accountability. You learn that who you become after setbacks actually matters more than those setbacks themselves. I learned that character isn't built by avoiding mistakes, but it's built by how you respond after you make them. And I learned those lessons from some very important people in my life, one of whom is in this room here today, Keith McIntosh, but others include Ogden Spruill and Kim Vitek McLaren and Eric McLaren. Those are lessons that I carry with me every day and lessons that I try to pass on to my children, Olivia, Jim, and Evan, who are with me here today. When I was your age, I thought that leadership was about being in charge, being the boss, right? The person with all the answers. But over time, I realized that real leadership, it isn't about authority or titles. It's more about service, showing up for other people, helping them to succeed, creating a safe space where others can grow. In my lab, I've had the privilege of mentoring over 24 post-college graduate students with an interest in pursuing scientific or medical careers, helping them to build confidence along the way, finding their way to medical school and graduate school, watching them grow into scientists and leaders in their own right. This has been one of the most rewarding parts of my entire career. And these experiences remind me that leadership isn't about standing in front, it's about standing beside. And here's the thing, you don't need a title or a degree to exercise this type of leadership. You lead when you help a classmate wrestle with a hard problem or a proof. You lead when you listen. You lead when you include. When you lift someone up who's having a rough day. But you also lead when you stand up for the truth, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because let's be honest, we live in a time when science is questioned, when the facts are twisted, and when voices of reason can be drowned out by noise. So real leadership means having the courage to stay curious. Stay curious. When others want to settle for easy answers, ask questions. Don't stay silent. Speak honestly, even when it costs you something. Leadership isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's choosing integrity over convenience, service over recognition, and truth over comfort. That kind of leadership, you can practice it right here at 1500 Sullivan Drive through the small acts of empathy and curiosity that you extend to one another, through the courage that you express and display, and that will ripple beyond the walls of 1500 Sullivan Drive. So as you guys look ahead to college, to careers, to challenges that you can't yet imagine, remember this. Your leadership will be defined not by how many people follow you, but by how many people you serve. Thank you, IMSA, for this incredible honor. And thank you for reminding me that the lessons that shaped me, curiosity, compassion, humility, and service, all began right here at IMSA. Thank you.
Congratulations again to Dr. Ombrello. I'm usually ready to leave after 3 awards, but actually it's pretty typical to have about less than 3. When I was hearing about the award ceremony, I heard that we don't always have the honor to give out this next award, the Alumni Trailblazer Award. It's this rare honor to have that someone can do something that amazing that we get the opportunity to honor them. And it honors alumni whose groundbreaking achievements have significantly impacted how large groups of people live, learn, and work. These recipients embody Dr. Lederman's philosophy of alumni who create new intellectual worlds, cure human ailments, or significantly influence life on our planet. And today we're going to learn about how they influence the way that we play volleyball. And the winner of today's 2025 Trailblazer Award is Katlyn Gao. Katlyn is the CEO of League One Volleyball, or LOVE, where it's L-O-V, B is silent, the largest brand in youth volleyball, which has completed its inaugural professional season led by Olympic medalists from Team USA. Under Katlyn's leadership, LOVE is transforming the future of the sport, expanding opportunities for women and creating one of the most innovative models in professional athletics today. Before launching LOVE, Katlyn built her expertise at Lululemon, Sephora, and Coach, and brought strategic insight from Bain and Harvard Business School. Her vision has attracted investors from across the world, including Billie Jean King, Kevin Durant, Chelsea Handler, and many more, who see the movement she's building. Her story has been featured in NPR, Sports Illustrated, Bloomberg, and she's spoken at places like MIT Sloan Analytics Conference. Through her work, Katlyn is setting a new standard for what is possible in sports, business, and community engagement. So please join me in welcoming our Trailblazer Award winner, Katlyn Gao, class of 1997. Let's take this off.
So I'm between you and lunch, huh? It's so wonderful to be here. Especially feeling like a full circle moment, seeing the tribute to Dr. Lederman. My mother's job as a physicist to Fermilab was the first introduction I had to Dr. Lederman. And if it wasn't because of that, I wouldn't have entered IMSA grounds over 30 years ago. Since founding League One Volleyball, I've been asked a lot, tell me why volleyball and tell me why create a new professional league. Is it because you're really good at the sport? Clearly the height didn't play into that. Or is it something else? Is it because it's the #1 girl team sport that doesn't have a professional league? And why should that be? Is it because it is a sport that here in the US we've medaled 20 years in a row at the Olympic level, and yet all of those amazing talents have to go to the other 48 leagues outside of the US to make a living? All of that is true, but also it's because I believe in the power of community and belonging. That comes from IMSA. Over 30 years ago, IMSA took a chance on a girl from China who barely spoke English 3 years in, and said, why don't we give her an opportunity to belong? This is a place where you're sitting, where you can be a math nerd. Although, fun fact, I was on the math team at Batavia High School, and I got here and they said, no way. You haven't taken calculus BC3 yet by your freshman year. This is a place you can be an okay athlete and still grow up to be the founder of a professional volleyball league in the US. This is also the place you really get to be anything you want. Why? Because this is a collaborative, rigorous, but mostly open place that gives you the opportunity to say, here, go ahead, discover yourself through your interactions with amazing faculty, but also the amazing community around you. Those late nights with your RC, those bus rides coming back from being defeated for the 10th time on the tennis team because we weren't that good in '97, all of that matters because it's about the power you can discover when you feel like you belong. In 1995, I remember when Miss Rosa Parks came to the IMSA. And she talked about the impact that she had. Well, she didn't talk about it. Everybody else talked about it because she's very humble. The impact that she has had, only in the US, but the world, speaking up for people that didn't have as much of the voice. And that left a really strong impression in me, because IMSA gave me an opportunity to learn from so many aspects of life and so many different disciplines, so that in 2025, someone who didn't pursue a STEM directly related major can stand up here and have the Trailblazer Award and have this opportunity to share what IMSA legacy has had on me. The power of belonging and community is really strong in sports. At the end of the day, the sports business is a business of belonging. It's the type of thing where you could be somewhere in the world outside of the US and you see someone with a Bulls jersey and you kind of just want to say, go Bulls, even though they haven't won in a while. Why? Because you feel a level of kinship through sports, despite the rigorous competition that can happen on the court. You know that sports is one of those things that bring people together, that gives you the strength in numbers, that reminds you that your power isn't just who you are, but how you make other people feel and how you do as a teammate, not just a captain. I am so honored to be here, to be at a place that has given me so much inspiration, so much space for me to feel belonging, so that I can take everything, all the wisdom and the encouragement that I've had here, and try to do my little part in helping to drive better life outcomes through a model that nothing has been created this way in the US, where we start with youth and go all the way to pro at the Olympic level. But that's the thing about IMSA. It encourages you to dream. Dream about something that's unreasonable, but most of all, dream about something that can impact the community well beyond yourself. Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry. Wow, what an incredible celebration of vision, leadership, and impact.
Today we've honored alumni who are shaping education, advancing science, serving with courage, and even reinventing professional sports. Each of them shows us what it means to take IMSA's impact into the world.
And of course, we can't forget the person who started it all, Dr. Dion Lederman. His dream for IMSA was that all young people will astonish the world, and today's award winners prove that his vision is alive and thriving.
As students, this is our challenge too, to carry forward the same spirit of curiosity, courage, and service.
On behalf of IMSA, thank you to our Alumni Award winners, our faculty and staff, and every member of the IMSA community who makes this mission possible.
Congratulations again to all of our honorees, and to our fellow Titans out there, remember, the future is in your hands. Go out and astonish the world.
Congratulations again to our honorees. Thank you to our three fabulous moderators.